this is Persephone, and this is a very important video, especially if you are the part of my audience that you have Asperger's, or you are an empath, or you are a normal person. Because it's something that you are constantly being taken advantage of, or people try to exploit you. And it took me years to realize that I was trained to behave in this specific way. I was programmed from my family. And because I'm not an empath at all, I'm like quite the cluster B person, that felt extremely unnatural and filled me up with huge rage, like my soul was a black abyss of rage. And I still carry black abyss of rage, but at least I'm more aware of where that comes from, so it's easier to tackle. This is something that if you have manipulative people in your life, covert narcissists, failed narcissists, collapsed narcissists, because there are many types of narcissists. No, it's only like, it's very, very crucial to know what you are dealing with. You're going to have to be very careful, okay? It's something like emotional vampires, but a lot more sinister, a lot more evil, and I don't want any of you being subjected to that abuse, myself included. So what am I talking about? There are going to be people, if you are living with abusers, if you are working with abusers, that they are going to ask you to do everything for them. And by everything, I don't just mean practical tasks, which they're going to ask you to do them, but they are also going to ask you to do the emotional labor in the relationship. Not necessarily romantic, it can happen between family members, in professions, in romantic relationships, in friendships, and so on. They're going to ask you to think for them, they're going to ask you to sympathize with their problems, to feel whatever they are feeling. They're going to ask you to comfort them, act as an unpaid therapist, act as a mom, act as an emotional tampon that can ascend and become a maxi pad if the person is too needy, and you're going to say, okay, what are you even about? You saw recently that I posted a video with Kim where I was super mad at him. And many people were wondering, why did I post it? Is it fake? Is it for views? Have I lost it? Is he going to die soon? And so on. The reason why I posted this video, and I'm using Kim as the first example, is that Kim is the king of dumping emotional labor to other people. And that is something that he learned from his mother, the peasant from the outskirts of Mordor, which is doing it 10 times more than him. And to say some practical examples, if he's on his PC and he doesn't know what time it is, he's going to ask you. If he's upset about something, he's going to talk to you. If he's upset about something that happened in his childhood, he's going to discuss it with you. Doesn't matter if you read an article during that time. I'm an IDJ, I love reading articles and researching stuff. It doesn't matter. Or reading books. If there is something that he's sick with, he's going to complain to you, even though it's something very insignificant, and so on. Now you're going to say, Persephone, you're married. Isn't that what the wife is supposed to do? Within moderation. You are not supposed to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. Which means, if you have a problem today, and you want to discuss it with me and find a solution, and you're my friend, you're my family member, you're my boyfriend, you're my son, we are going to do that. If the problem is something that happened 700 years ago in your childhood, you are transracial, you are transsexual, you are a sissy in the closet who doesn't want to accept it, who's drawing big black hawk porn and takes it out on me. Random example. Then I cannot do anything about those problems. Those are your own, and there are some fights that the person fights by themselves and wins them. If you have a problem with someone who looks like me, if some goddess scammed you 3 years ago, you cannot be dumping all of that stuff on me. And that's unfortunately not something that happens only on me. It happens on many people of narcissistic abuse, that maybe your mom has a failed marriage and she comes to your room to complain to you constantly. Maybe she grew up poor, so she's now paranoid and she's hoarding everything and she doesn't let you to even buy new clothes, although your clothes have holes. Maybe your partner is an alcoholic and they're spending all the money on alcohol and you're expected to not eat so that the narcissist has money for booze, and so on. This is a form of abuse that is extremely toxic. It's very, very difficult to pinpoint, like, why do you feel so exhausted? You wake up and you're drained, especially if you are a beta man. This can happen so much. I was watching Casey, the Hong Kong guy, that Chihiro and Heidi in my room divorced, and Casey has made his channel into Chihiro is complaining and I'm filming and I'm translating. and he is acting like what I say, not the emotional tampon guy, the emotional maxipad guy, and he thinks he's going to get laid. He's not. The women who are actually exploiting beta men this way are the women who are using them as drivers, as wallets, as agony aunts, and in the end they go and fuck chat. So this is a form of abuse that can leave you very traumatized, feeling like a fool, feeling exploited, and you need to stop it by yourself. No one is coming to help you. One more aspect of that abuse that is extremely frustrating is that I cannot share most of my problems with him. He's not going to understand them. There is cultural barrier, there is growing up in completely different ways, there is racial barrier, and so on. So pretty much what happens is that it all becomes one-sided. I have all of my junk to deal with, I have all of his junk to deal with, I have all of the junk from the people online to deal with, and it's a matter of time until you start thinking maybe Elliot Rogers wasn't all that wrong after all, or maybe the Unabomber wasn't all that wrong after all, and this is not the path we ever want to take, right? I'm just joking, it's hypothetical. Yeah, I do not support terrorism, mass murder, and so on. Just make it clear. Another thing that can happen is that the narcissist doesn't even see you as a human being, and they don't even feel the need to bother with you. Because there are a lot of narcissists that can actually understand your problems, but they just don't want to. They just don't want to deal with any of you, but they constantly take from you. Do you know what happens if you constantly spend and you never deposit? Bankruptcy, which means your health is going to go away first. You're going to start having psychosomatic illnesses. Then you are going to start having mental illnesses, depression, CPTSD, if you are hearing extremely traumatic events. My mother, for example, when I was a kid, she felt it's completely appropriate to talk to me about the fact that she got pregnant the second time and the baby had extremely serious problems because she was on birth control. She had some kind of device in her uterus that now is not used anymore, and the baby had huge problems and she almost died and she needed an emergency surgery to remove the dead baby. And I was a kid and I was thinking like, what the fuck? And many times the narcissist may talk to you about them being raped, having an abortion, having a miscarriage, being a victim of human trafficking when you're even a kid, completely inappropriate stuff. That happens because the narcissist usually has no friends. The other people in their environment, their family members, have heard of the same thing a million times, so you're the target. And the last thing that I'm going to tell you about the abuse, because next we're going to go to what you can do to stop it, is that the most infuriating thing for me, the thing that makes me want to go violent, because I have to say this here, for the people who say, where are you, I want to meet you, or I know where you live, and all of the other stupidity shit you are sending me, my first response to any kind of threat is always going to be violence. So whoever has my address, because there is a person who said I can send you your address, can you show up at my address? Try to show up at my address and see if you're going to survive or not. Because I'm not going to be cucked by threats, by some human who are, I don't know, sissies with a penis who should be wearing a dress. Because if you're a man, you call yourself a man, and you threaten a woman without even having a face, just tell me your size, I'm going to send you a dress, and we're going to start your sissification project. Okay, men don't behave like that. Back to our topic. The most infuriating thing about this abuse is that most of the times, the narcissist doesn't want to follow your advice. You can actually take time to research, to take them to therapy, to help them. They're not going to listen. They are not going to change anything. Most of the time, the narcissist is there to just hear from you, oh, poor baby, life has been so hard to you, and you're right to be a cancer in society contributing nothing. You're right, although you're a sick, filthy junkie, although you're unemployed, although you're ugly inside out, poor victim, yeah, you're absolutely right to do nothing and just contaminate everyone. That's what they want to hear. And usually when you're an empathic person, or when you're a smart person, or when you have Asperger's, or when you're solution-oriented, you're actually thinking at first that the person approaches you because they genuinely want your help. They don't. So after all of that happens, usually the person who is the empath or the good person or the programmed person dies, and the narcissist moves on to the next host, metastasizes to another person. And I'm going to share an example from my life. You know that my father has an autoimmune disease, and during the war stages when nothing was working for his pain, he used to be together with stage 4 cancer patients that they were given morphine for the pain, people with bone cancer and other stuff, and because my father also needed morphine, he was with them, which was very useful, not just because he got morphine and he felt some relief, but because first of all he saw worse cases than him and he could complain less. Second, because he made some friends, although most of the friends died, which caused second-hand problems. And third, because of the case I'm going to tell you today. There was a woman that she was in her 60s, that she had an extremely aggressive type of cancer, stage 4. He met her at the hospital together with the other patients. And her husband was a pediatrician, and he asked to get transferred into that hospital immediately because his wife needed treatment there. And he was the most devoted, kind, nice husband you can imagine. Every second that man had free, he was on his wife's bedside, and he was like friendly with the other patients, listening to them, taking care of them. And my father came to appreciate this man greatly. He said, like, this woman is so lucky, like this guy is a gem. The tragedy in the story was that the woman was told that she has 6 months to live, maximum. So the guy was trying so hard to help her. And the woman was the most toxic person you can imagine. She was constantly nagging, she was a racist, she was a bitch, she was cussing, she was never happy. Her husband was always there and she wasn't even saying thanks. She was a total narcissist. There were many other women wondering how did this man even marry that woman. He was one of those betas who are like studying his ass off, working his ass off, and she was totally unappreciated, and she wasn't even pretty. So long story short is that it has been 15 years, the woman is still alive, and the man had a heart attack inside that hospital and died. Can you believe that? The man was totally healthy, he was a doctor, he was taking good care of himself, and he had a heart attack and he died. They couldn't save him from the stress. The official cause was too much stress, lack of sleep, and in my opinion, abuse. And the woman that was supposed to live 6 months, the cancer disappeared, and she got discharged, and she's living somewhere now totally fine. And 1 or 2 years ago, my father and my mother met her by accident. She lives in a very nice area. And she was like, yeah, too bad he died. She's almost 80. So if you don't want to end up like that guy, because for me the world lost a lot by him dying, by such a good doctor and good person dying, and gained nothing by her living, you have to start protecting yourself. So, what can you do to stop this abuse? Step 1 and obvious. If you can go no contact with those parasites, you obviously go no contact right here, right now. Okay? You remove them from your life and you preserve your energy for yourself and for people who are actually deserving it. People who are in need and they want to solve the problem. Not humorous, like entities that they don't want the problem, they just want your energy. If you can't go no contact, which is the most common occasion, unfortunately, what you do is you practice emotional detachment. Research emotional detachment online, there are excellent articles. Practically what emotional detachment is you endure and you ignore. You're thinking, okay, this is not the person talking, this is the personality disorder or the illness talking. You remind yourself what happened the last time you helped them. With my father, who is also one massive narcissistic and energy-sucking entity at times, what was helping me when I was like starting to do this is that I kept a diary of all the other times that I tried to help him and how many times did I succeed. But because my father goes to a lot of therapy, with the years he started needing to be toxic less and less. If he starts talking about his parents or how much of a genius he was and the world doesn't recognize his potential or how much he's going to commit suicide if the pain comes back, then I'm gone. Physically and mentally, I'm gone. And he knows it, so eventually it became less and less rewarding. That's what you should also be doing. Don't feed the drama. If he's like, oh, I'm calling you because I know I'm going to die next week and the pain goes on, I'm asking, have you called the doctor? Have you called the therapist? No, why are you calling me? Or I start saying philosophical stuff that, you know, if it's your time, if it's your fate, I'm not the fatist, but it helps. You know, if God calls you, nothing we can do, right? And then he gets very upset, but eventually he gets over it. What you shouldn't be doing is you shouldn't be saying, oh my God, what happened? Oh, I'm here for you. When I see people on Reddit saying, if you want to talk to someone, I'm here, just message me. I'm thinking, dude, don't be a public toilet. Don't say that to total strangers that you don't even know if the story is fake. Like I said, don't be a public toilet for narcissists to come urinate and leave. Save your energy. If you truly have that much energy and compassion to give, that's great. Go to an actual place to volunteer. Verified place, a hospital, an animal shelter with people in need. Not from Braden and Karen from Jerkwater Heights, who are living on welfare and they have nothing else to do and they make up stories. Thing number 3. Ask yourself what happened and you are such a rescuer. There are so many people who are contacting me about Eurasian tiger. By the way, we're eventually going to rename Eurasian tiger to Marcia Christopsen because that's his CC name, according to recent discoveries. But for now, I'm going to keep Eurasian tiger. There are so many people who are asking me, why the fuck did you even bother? And I had to ask myself, why the fuck did you even bother? I saw my history that I have been raised in an environment where most men are insane, with my father being number 1, my uncle who has schizophrenia being number 2, and the other relatives, they're not very sane. We have lost multiple male relatives to suicide, we have multiple schizophrenic family members, and as you know, 2 things happen when something is familiar. You are attracted to it, and you are desensitized to it. So I grew up being the rescuer, or the comforter, or the person who cracks jokes, because when people laugh, the abuse stops. So when I see someone who is writing suicide notes, it's very attractive to me. When I see someone like him who's a clusterfuck of disorders, that's very attractive to me. I'm not okay with this, and I want to change it. I want to stop fetishizing and being attracted to extremely mentally ill Asian men, and I'm trying to work on it. Like I said, I've been to therapy, I can go again. But the thing is about this topic, even the therapists, they have reached a wall with me. There's a threshold. Because, okay, we identified that there is repetition compulsion and there is trauma reenactment and there are patterns. How do you solve those? There are steps you can take, but it takes time. And if you say to me, just date a normal person, I'm going to die of boredom in 2 days. So what's the solution? The solution is to find the person. For me, that's something I came up with. The solution is to start dating people as healthy as possible, or at least people who actually want your help. Because one of the things that really helped me move on from the Eurasian tiger fiasco is reminding myself that Eurasian tiger doesn't want my help. He never did. He has been yapping that he wants a white girlfriend ever since 2001, I don't know, like 25 years on 4chan or something. But he doesn't. Deep down, what he wanted is he wanted to arrange his life in a way where he's the victim. You know, victim of a fetish couple, his parents, and victim of racist society where white women don't want him. And that was the image he projected all over the world. A bit too much, I would say. So in 2017, I believed all of that crap, and I thought that if this man had a white girlfriend, and if I was that white girlfriend, he would have his happily ever after, right? Well, the reality is that all of that was a very nice distraction for his sissification, for his homosexual tendencies, for his race play, and for a bunch of other stuff that he didn't want to face. So, does this person even really wanted my help, or he wanted an enabler? He wanted an enabler. Is your narcissist really wanting help? Are they taking any of the steps you are going out of their way to suggest and to help them with? If the answer is no, they don't want a helper, they also want an enabler. And guess what? There is a problem, but it's not your problem. If the world made the mistake that Eurasian tiger was born a Eurasian and all of that dramatic, tragic crap, I didn't make any mistake. I was there for I don't know how long, too long, and he didn't want to take that chance because then he would have to face the fact that he's attracted to the whole black scene. Can you ask me, Persephone, do you hate people who are cis? Not at all. I have many subsexual cis, I have nothing against cis, and in general, I'm a very open-minded person. So for me, whatever happens between consensual adults and there is no abuse is fine. If someone wants to be a sissy or wants to cross-dress sexually or live as a sissy, I don't have a problem with that. It's not like he's forcing anyone or abusing anyone. And I say that because probably out of all of my subs, the sissies are the most abused and the most mistreated, which is very toxic because sissies usually don't bother anyone. But Eurasian tiger has a huge problem with himself and he projects that on me. So if your narcissist is fat and they call you fat, if they're a junkie and they try to make you a junkie, it's time to say it's not my problem. And at first that's going to be so unnatural. It was very difficult for me to not identify with all of those problems. But there comes a point where you're really getting tired of your own bullshit. And I made this video with Kim that I wanted Kim to see the responses. And he was very surprised when Asian men said, stop playing games and get your shit together. He was expecting Asian men to say, oh, poor baby, you had a hard life with your Asian tiger mom, so Persephone should be your white mommy and tolerate your crap forever. Well, no one said that. And to be honest, even if someone said that, I would block them because they also represent pathology. I have one last thing to say before I close this video. You have to know that from 2019, YouTube has decided that it can terminate our channels based on the comment section as well. Which means, if someone comes on my comment section and starts being homophobic, transphobic, racist, or abusive in general, and multiple people report the comments, the channel goes down. Okay, you get strikes for that. Although you didn't write it, you get strikes and you get demonetization. So I'm monitoring the comment section like a hawk. And also because I'm a very vengeful person and I'm a very fair person, and I worked very, very hard to build this platform that we are reaching 1.5 million views, almost 2 million soon. So I'm not going to give a platform for people who want to spread their cancer and their hate for free. Also, I'm not going to give a platform to cheap hookers who are saying, hey, I'm a goddess, buy my feet pictures. I have so many videos on how to build a femdom business for free, and you can't even bother to watch them. You're a lazy, dirty white trash. And yeah, I'm saying white trash when the occasion calls for it. And you try to use my comment section to promote yourself. You're going to be so blocked, your mom even won't notice. Okay? And when I see junkies and other people promoting their weed use, I'm not giving a platform to people that even their dealer doesn't know their name. Okay? Whoever wants to do real business, leave me a message with your portfolio or whatever, or your email, and I can make a video as paid content and feature you. Other than that, nothing for free. Okay? I'm not going to get my channel in trouble just because someone has a problem with sissies. And also, if you have a problem with sissies, I have a problem with you because sissies never bothered you. And you know this, what they say, there is no bigger homophobe than the closeted homosexual. Thank you for watching.